So now I have record on. I see the little red button, and so I think we should be okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
recording. Bye bye, guys.
Oh, you can see it? It
Yes,
says
I can
recording on
see
your
it as
side?
well.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
okay. So let's go, because you have some slides too in here. So you want to talk about this slide that you put up?
Sure. So guys, this is just to let you know a little bit more of why we're doing this academic space and also the project and our visits. On the one hand, you can see Manhattan College has very interesting objectives in their mission. The first one is the idea of encouraging a more dynamic search for knowledge. And as a result of that interest they have, they develop interdisciplinary and inter-school collaborations. That is from Manhattan College. From us at La Salle University, we have, as you probably know, we have two formal documents. One that is called Plan de Desarrollo Institucional or Institutional Plan for Development, and the other one that it's the Proyecto Educativo de la Universidad de La Salle or La Salle University Educational Project. And we have also some very similar ideas. First of all, we believed at La Salle in the construction of shared social knowledge. So doing this kind of co-joint experience allows us to do that. And also, we want to make use of technologies. We want to use technologies for accessing knowledge and for consolidating environments that allows everybody, both professors and students, to construct knowledge together. So I think if that is said in the institutional plan for development, it's also reflected in our educational project, particularly in one section that is called Teaching with Appropriateness. We want to create or to generate flexible spaces, flexible curricula. We want to push our students into exploring new topics, new ways of interacting. And as you can see in the La Salle University Educational Project, that also means opening ourselves to new trends, advances in science, and making them practical in our everyday context. So because of those two perspectives, Manhattan College and La Salle University, we managed to create this space. And it's been, for me, a very rewarding experience. And in the two face-to-face sessions, I have perceived our students in Colombia are really benefiting from the experience. It's been hard work, and it should be hard work, but at the same time, I'm sure the experience has allowed us to think about other topics, to allow us to interact with people, with Shauna at Manhattan College, with students from other university. So that's why we have reasons to come up with these kind of projects.
Okay.
Shauna.
So I think I went over this last time, but I just want to make sure because I wasn't sure if it wasn't there. So this is how this started. So I went to Bogota. I came to your university last year with these other faculty members, and we were charged with coming up with projects like this. So in this picture are engineering professors, business professors. I'm an education professor, and we have many projects that we have tried to do as collaborative. But I got to tell you guys, we're the only one that actually came through. So out of all of these people, you guys, we're the masters of how to do this, right? So it's pretty interesting because what we thought was a dream is actually coming together, and I'm so happy you're coming. So this is really amazing that from that meeting is this course. Okay, now this one is yours, Yami. So what do you want to say on this one?
Okay. As a result of what Shauna just said, our program, our master's degree program with Sandra as the leader and Shauna also, we managed to come up together to find ways of interacting and creating, generating an academic space that is not only useful for our purposes here in Colombia, in Bogota, but it's also useful and appropriate for the purposes Manhattan College has. In our opinion, we believe that this academic space, as a co-joint learning experience, has three main characteristics that we would like you to take into account, to live, to experience, and maybe at the end, when we ask you to give us feedback, to reflect on the experience, you can help us decide if they were really present or not. The first one is that it's member driven. This means that it starts and ends with us, professors and students. Your voice is very important, your perspectives are important. It's not only a matter of creating infographics and writing essays and uploading them into a system, but it's more the idea of interacting with me, your professor here in Colombia, but also with Shona in the States. And when we go there in April, you will have the opportunity to interact with all your classmates, with Shona as well, and other people from Manhattan College. This is really why Shona and I have been working really hard every week, 4 hours or more, putting ideas together. Obviously, what you guys see as students is only the assignments, but behind those assignments, there's a lot of work, but also our effort to guarantee that those assignments are really pushing you guys to expand your knowledge, to reflect on global and ethical perspectives, not only to know interesting topics such as identity theft or intellectual property, but really make sense of them in our context as teachers, and to have the opportunity to reflect those topics with other people in another country, particularly well, the United States and Colombia. It is also a platform to share our results. We want, as you probably have seen, our interest is that you get to that you develop a project that will be socialized, that will be shared with others, first with people in Manhattan College. But the idea is that this project is not only for this academic space. It's something that you should be able to use yourself in your schools, but also you can share with your coworkers, with your classmates here from the master degree program. You can use it for your own benefit and keep making it better every time you come. So we really want you to understand that this platform, this project is a platform for you guys to continue reflecting, thinking about global and ethical perspectives in cyberspace, the use of technology in education. It also, because of all of this co-joint learning experience, it really promotes, well, peer-to-peer learning. You have been working with other people. Whenever you put your head to do an assignment, you think about me as a professor, but also you think about your students, and you will probably have the opportunity to talk, as we did last Saturday. I think last Saturday, for me as a professor, was very interesting to see you working, because normally these kind of a space, academic virtual environments is just you uploading something, me giving some comment, interacting from time to time, but really getting to see you, to listen to your questions, to be able to be there, to offer my expertise, my suggestions as a professor, I think allowed us to leave this as peer-to-peer learning. It involves collaboration. It also involves problem solving. As all of you have probably perceived, there are challenges in this academic space. The challenge is not only how to use the technological tool or the website that is being proposed, but it's also thinking about how to connect what a book presents, our experience, and what the assignment asks from us. And definitely, as I said it the first day we were together here in Bogota, it is a communicative and intercultural learning experience. It's I'm sure it's gonna allow us, this experience, it will allow us to expand our minds in terms of being not only language teachers, but also members of a global community that is concerned with education and the use of technology.
Awesome. I should use you more often as a speaker because you do this so well.
Thank you, Shona.
Okay, so here I wanted to say something here. And what I need to say here is we need to really remind ourselves of what the course is. So if you look in the left-hand side about what we're trying to accomplish in this course, this is what guides us, right? So as we are guided by these course objectives, what you should be guided by is the course objectives of the chapter that you're making your workshop on. So you should have 4 or 5 different points of learning in the chapter you have been assigned, and that's what you focus your workshop on. I definitely think the pictures on the side show where we're at. We're in unit 5 already, and there's only 2 more units left. Can you believe it? And then we're going to have the stages of our final project that have us end up in New York City on April 15th. Does anybody have any questions kind of on where we are and where you're going, and how to find information and know what you have to turn in every week? Are you feeling pretty comfortable with that now? Okay, I'm going to call on people. Carolina, tell me. Carolina, how are you feeling about the class and everything that's going on? Are you understanding everything? Carolina is stuck, I think, right? Nothing's happening. Vanessa, what do you think?
Well, definitely, I love the class. The topic is so interesting. I think I never thought about it. Like, yeah, I use internet and I propose many technological activities, but I never realized the ethical issues that are there and how I can affect my students only posting a video on my Facebook page because I think was beautiful, that I had a beautiful experience.
Right.
So I think it has been amazing, and my classmates in my group, they are amazing too. Definitely my mind changed. I thought like maybe people from United States, they were more cold, but no, Caroline and Karina are amazing. They are so kind with me. They try to explain me when I don't understand some technological things. They try to explain me in a very kind way. So I think my mind changed in that term.
Wow, that's good. I don't have to beat them. That's awesome. Victoria, what are you thinking about the course?
Hi.
Hello.
I'm pretty good about it. I like Vanessa. I never thought about these topics related with everything online. When we are most of the time using technology, so we are like not aware about these important issues we have every day using different technologies.
Awesome.
And great, I'm pretty great. Right now with my group, we're working on the stage 2 too.
Okay.
Project. We have like different schedules, so we met once in Zoom, and we talk a little bit about us and the project. And
Okay.
I think that we are doing good. They are pretty good too, my partners.
So here's the thing I want to emphasize. This is a 2-language workshop. It's in Spanish and English, and we can't use Google. So you got to figure out how you put the languages together on one workshop. I do not want you guys to just be translators. That's not your function. Your function is to really think about the content, and as they write in English, you're going to translate over to Spanish. But the reason you're translating is because you should be able to translate better than a Google. You have more insight into the content so that you're making what is in English more real than what Google Translate could possibly do. But you're not just the translator. So make sure that if you have something that you want to put in the project, or you think you don't agree with something, that you speak up, because I'm going to look at that, and if I see that it's mostly them coming up with all of it, I'm going to mark them down, because the community, the working together, is more important to me than the actual product. Okay, so I have 2 grades in my course, an A and an F. That's all I give, 2. So you either get an A or you get an F, and you come back and make it an A. So there's no reason for anybody to fail in this course, because this course should really be valuable to you as a teacher. So I just want to put that out. So I'm going to move on, because I don't want to. Go ahead.
I have a question, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, sure.
I don't know if I missed something. You said that we are going to present the project in Manhattan College with our partners, right?
Yes,
Okay. So
yes,
on that day, you are going to grade us. Or
yes.
I don't know how to, yeah?
Well, okay, so can you hold that thought? Because I'm going to give you a slide that kind of explains it more. Can I get back
Okay.
to you on that one, Victoria? Okay.
Okay.
Yamith,
Thank you.
can I go forward, or you want something on this slide?
No,
Go
no.
forward. Okay. All right. So this is kind of showing, I think what we have this here is where we were, right?
Mhm.
So we wanted to make sure that you understood about cybercrime and identity theft and how a week looks. How difficult, and this is going to be a hard question. One of these essays was about pedophilia, you know? And when I met with my students, they were very uncomfortable talking about it. They felt horrible even researching about it. But the reality is we as teachers need to understand what's happening with our students out there and design and help them understand how to be safe as part of technology. How uncomfortable were you writing this essay? Who do I have? Alejandra, are you there? Alejandra, are you there? Or anybody, Victoria or Vanessa, you can chime in if you want to. How hard was it to write that essay?
For me, the hardest part was writing skill.
Oh, okay. Not the
Good at
okay.
it. But in terms of the topic, yeah, it was pretty like worrying
Yes.
because when I was writing the essay, I thought of my students because they are children. They are like
Yes.
4, 5 years old, and I don't know. It's like unbelievable that exists. And
Yes.
I also got into the term grooming. That is something that it's pretty I don't know how to say that, like popular these days,
Okay.
and we didn't know about it. I think that this term is like new for us because
Oh.
that didn't exist like 4, 5 years ago.
Ah, right. Well, it's very much here. Very, 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 very much. But have you ever seen that show called Catfish? Do you have that there?
Yes,
But
yes,
it's mostly adults, it's not kids, right?
yes,
But the same idea, someone kind of fakes who they are and gets your trust. It's really out of control here. It's really out of control. So our police have a unit that just goes into social media and pretends to be young kids. I'm sure they probably do that in Colombia too, but we do that a lot here because kids are so easily lured into meeting people, or going to a place they're uncomfortable with because somebody says, hey, I'll give you, a bike or a cookie or whatever. So it's a big deal. Even at 4-year-old, Victoria, the
yes,
babysitter can ask the kids to do something that they're not aware of, and you have to talk to them about that.
yeah. And I'm worried because they are using technology since they are very, very little. So
Yes.
I don't know what's going in 4 or 3 years later. I don't know in the
Right.
future.
Right. So we didn't pick these topics to just, kind of make you crazy. We just want you to kind of understand what they are and take them into consideration. And if you're in your workshop, if you feel that you need to add a little piece of that into your workshop on your chapter, you're welcome to do that. So Yamith, keep going or keep going?
Yes. Yes. The opportunity, yes, let's keep it going. But I just wanted to say something here, Shana. It's all the topics has given us food for thought. On the one hand, as people, as members of a global community that interact every day using technology. On Saturday, we just realized how easy it is for someone to steal everything from our cell phones,
Yeah.
and the different situations that we expose ourselves by simply uploading pictures. I
Yes.
think that is very important because the first thing we need is to develop that personal awareness, and then at the same time we're teachers, so we need a professional awareness that requires from us not simply knowing about these situations, but also putting them into the context of our classes, how to help students and their parents realize about these situations, how to constantly be informing them. I know some of us are only English teachers, but more than that, we're teachers. So it's a topic that we can use and that we should use frequently. And I think the opportunity that we had to create infographics and an essay about identity theft and cyber crimes was amazing. And I have been checking the infographics, and we're going to see some of them in a moment. And the essays and the reflections are really interesting.
Yes, I agree. I agree. So let's move on to that. So we're going to get back to that, but the next slide really talks about Chapter 7. And as you're going into Chapter 7, I want you to think about your workshop as you're doing Chapter 7, because I think it will help you. So when you're doing your final project, you need to make sure that you're covering the major points of your chapter and not just doing something cute, you know, with the content. So you got to go back to the major points, and your challenge is to change that point to maybe an easier conversation instead of how difficult it is for a graduate level reading. Maybe we change the wording so that our workshop will affect someone that's teaching 5-year-olds or teaching 8-year-olds. But what I really wanted to share with you guys is this little side note. If you look at page 205 and 206, you look how the author cites people, right? So he's looking at cybercrime, but the way that he gets you to understand cybercrime is he says, Gotterman has criticized, Gotterman then argues, Gotterman then concludes, and then Gotterman's positions can be interpreted by Stephanie Lehman. That way of using verbs is graduate level writing. It's very different than undergrad. So you have to have a set of verbs that have you talk through what you're writing, right? Now you are going to have, did you already get to that? You have to use 2 readings in your final project. Is that a stage yet that you have to choose the readings? Are we there yet?
Yeah, that we have to pick articles.
Right. You have to pick some
Yes.
articles for
Yes.
your students to read, right?
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
but as you get them to read that article, you need to explain to them what they're reading the article for, right? So using page 205, 206 might help you write, you know, using Smith 2018 as they criticize underwater basket weaving, and has the other article, Stephanie's, now look at, you know, this point. So look at how they write there to help you write your workshop. Okay, it's a good way of writing. So, and I'll definitely give you this PowerPoint so you can remember what pages they are, okay? All right, so as we, that's a side note. So as we go forward, somebody's mic, whose mic is that? Somebody has a mic they need to mute.
I think it's Carolina's. She just got in with us, so we need to wait a little bit. Carolina, you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you please turn off your microphone for 1 second, and then we
Yes.
can.
Let
Okay.
me see. Okay, here.
Thank you.
Poor Carolina. Okay, now back to, back to using your chapter. Listen, you don't have to start from scratch, right? So if your chapter has a little quiz in it, use that in your workshop. So here it's a question, determining criteria, and they give you some incidents, 3 incidents, and they say, which one of these incidents are really cybercrime? You can just borrow that from the textbook, right? You just have to cite it that you got it from the textbook, right? But what you have to do with the technology is you have to take that question and make it a quiz. So that's how you lift it from the textbook into technology. So you can borrow the question, you just have to put it in a Google form or a Google quiz inside of your workshop.
Shauna, by the way, you just were inviting our students, reminding them about the importance of using correct verbs, appropriate verbs, contrasting ideas. Last Saturday, we went over, I showed them a very interesting website that it's a study. I don't know if you know it, Sean, I just posted in the chat.
What is
It's,
it?
it's called Study Guides and Strategies.
Oh, no,
And
I
it
don't know
has
about
it has a very interesting section on writing. So I show them, my students, I show them this interesting website because it has how to write an essay, how to develop your topic, how to identify the audience, but it also has the use of transitional words,
Okay.
the use of, you know, the verbs that you're supposed to use. So probably just to remind them, Vanessa, Laura, and Carolina, and the other students, they can refer to this website. Can I share my screen, Shana? I don't know. I'm gonna try.
But I don't. I might. If I lose the recording, you're gonna kill me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I get out of it. No, don't.
No, I'm not gonna move. Okay.
I already sent it to the chat, and
Okay.
students were shown this website just to remind them that this very interesting idea that you are asking them to take into account when coming up with their workshop, that they know that they can resort to studies GNet, more particularly the section about writing.
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, I'm scared that if I click anything, I'll stop the recording. For a person that has a degree in technology, that's a pitiful situation I'm in, but I don't want to ruin it. Okay, so let's keep going because I don't want to keep you too long. So I talked about using the quizzes that could be made out of the text. Any questions on that? Like borrowing a set of questions and quiz from the text to use it in your workshop? Any questions on that?
I have a question, but in terms of the Flipgrid video, because you divided the questions that we have to answer by groups. So it means that we choose one person per group to express the opinion, or the three of us, three different videos. So I don't understand.
Yeah, so that doesn't mean group really. That means that the three of you are answering that, not in a group.
Okay, so 3 different videos as well.
3 different videos, and then after you do your video, then you go respond to 2 other people's video.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, so we're just saying which question we want you to answer, but not as a group, just who we're assigning the question to. Okay, very good. Very good question. Okay, we're gonna move on. Let's see, so that's about quizzes. And then let me see what happened. Okay, so I'm gonna move past that one. Okay, this is where we really liked your products, you guys. You did such a good job on identity theft. Yeah, Myth, you wanna jump in there?
Yeah, I just show some. I chose these 2 because they are very different, but they show the quality of all the other infographics. And I chose these 2 because, as you can see, there are 2 different ways of comparing and contrasting Colombia and the United States in terms of identity theft. The first one, it's organized in such a way that you can see the similarities on top and then differences at the bottom. The other one it shows a more first of all, like there's a conceptualization about identity theft. I like that. And then we have the 2 countries simultaneously being compared. And at the end, some tips on prevention. So as you can see, the 2 infographics are examples of 2 different ways of using this possibility of representing information visually. But I chose them because of that. No, I should have all the 6 of them here.
Right.
But I chose them particularly because they are 2 different ways of comparing information. And this is the first time we're sharing our work together. And I think it gives us an opportunity to see all the really hard work and good work that we're doing.
And we
so I have to congratulate my students. The 6
good job.
infographics are really, really great because we're not designers, we're not visual designers, but they really managed to implement some of the ideas. Shauna, last Saturday, I mentioned some things in terms of infographics, and I suggested, or I showed a video.
Uh-huh.
So we had some pointers.
Okay. But they came out really, really nice. I'm really impressed with them. But the other thing that I want all of our students to take away with is that I want you to use these tools in your teaching. So if you're going to do information to parents, or you're going to let them know I want you to do it in a very graphical way. So the way you send out flyers should change now, but also your students should be able to make these type of products as assignments in your class. So if you're teaching language at a higher, a higher level, like, kids that are over 10, part of the assignment should be do a flyer or do some information data on this topic in this other language and give it to me as an infographic. As teachers, we're so boring when it comes to what we assign students. So some of the tools that we're teaching in the class should be things that you're asking your students to do also. Okay. Well, let's move on there. Let's see here. Oh, that's the other one. Okay, so we put this in because I think we went over this. We asked you we thought your essays were amazing, and we just wanted to know why would we have you learn this, and I think we covered that. So we're just going to move on past that. Okay, so this is kind of the schedule that I know that everyone's getting a little confused about. So I thought I'd show it to you. So Bogota is, and I'm sorry, I spelled Bogota wrong. I do it every time, my apologies. So you started 3 weeks before the New Yorkers. So if you look at week 5, they're actually on week 2 right now. And so on week 7, you guys should have the draft of your final project done by 3/25. Then they have their other 3 weeks in April before you come. So what they'll be working on when you get done is graphic design. So after you're done with your week 7, they're going to go back and do these other technologies and beef up the workshop so that it has more, it's beautified and it has more interactivity into it. But they'll send you a link to what they have done so that by the time you show up on April 15th, you'll know that they've added these other 3 pieces to it. So they will not be done when you are done. Yeah, is that clear? Everybody? No questions? Everybody's clear about that? So they won't be done. They'll keep working on it until you get here on Monday. On the schedule that I'll be sharing with you when you get here, Monday is a working day. So Monday you'll be on campus. We'll show you around campus. And then we have class from 4:30 to 8:30. From 4:30 to 6:30, you're going to meet in your teams and figure out where you are, how you're going to present it. And then you're going to present it in class at 6:30. So you will have some time when you get here to work with your team. Now, we thought about having you present it on Tuesday, but what happens is that my students cannot be here Tuesday. They can only come on Monday, and the classroom's not available on Tuesday. So we'll do our best to make sure we have time enough or talk in between time to make sure you guys are on the same page for your workshop. Questions? None?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, who's speaking? Laura? Laura, go.
Yes, sorry.
No, go
So
ahead.
you mentioned that when we finish this course, they will still working on the project, right?
Yes.
So they are going to do those yellow activities?
Yes.
And we are going to be able to see what they do, maybe?
Yes. After each week, they will send you a link to it to show you what they have done every week. And then when you get here, they will go over the whole project. Because remember, they owe 3 weeks. You started before them, but they still have to do work. They still have 3 more weeks of course left. So they have to keep working.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other
I just wanted to say, Shauna, that this really shows the way you are showing us this the way Bogota is working with how Manhattan College is working. This really shows what we said at the beginning. This is a collaborative learning experience. So students in Bogota are required to interact with students from Manhattan College, and on one level, that it's putting up together a project, contributing with the different stages and tasks. But at the same time, we should know that they are very well informed about graphic design, and they are going to help us make our workshops look much better. So it works both ways for us as teachers to have a really good project, a workshop, an online workshop that we can feel proud of, but at the same time, it's a product that has been the result of working together, checking ideas, revising them,
Mhm.
etc., etc. So just to point that out.
Yeah. So, and they don't have to get nervous. They're going to do a great job. I'm going to over it. So it's just going to make the project even better. But really, the only thing that they should be describing is the content of the workshop. All this other stuff is additional graphic design to it. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. All right. So this is a recap of the final project. We just want to make sure you know there's 3 technologies that go into there. Did you go over that on Saturday, Yemi?
Yes, we talked about it, and this presentation, they already have it, this
Okay.
part. But it's
Okay.
just to make sure, Shona and I want to make sure that everybody is on board, that everybody's clear, that everybody understands. If there are any questions, doubts, this is the moment to ask them. Vanessa, Carolina, Laura, I see
Well,
also
I'm
Alejandra,
trying to
I
Irina.
have a question.
understand with my classmates, because sometimes I have like an idea and we try to talk, and then I realize that I don't get it because I focus more on the topic, and they say that we need to work more on the technological part. So I think it's like when we are going to develop each stage, it's some questions are going to raise, I suppose. But at the moment, no. I think my classmates are very clear on that, and they explain me very well, because sometimes I forget like the main idea of the project.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that they are helping us understand the importance of the 3 technologies that go into the project. However, it is also important not to forget about the topic that we have to. I mean, the 3 technologies and the whole project should be connected to a topic that you were assigned, that is based on one of the chapters from the textbook. So as you can see, everything is integrated. The textbook, the chapters from the textbook, but at the same time, technologies that we're using that we should learn and that we should use, as Shona said, in our own classes, and a project. All of us as teachers are very well informed about how to come up with a project. Maybe what we're not so good at it's integrating technologies into those projects and having a general topic that integrates the whole thing, the 3 technologies, the project itself, and the topic.
Do you can we ask that question now to make sure everybody has a book that has all the chapters?
Yes, I said that in our before. Students have access to the whole book. I send them the material for the course. As soon as you, Shona, assign the chapters, I incorporated those chapters as well. They also have the possibility of getting the books here at the university. As I told them on the first day of our course, the program bought 5 books. So in case they wanna, if they don't wanna, or if they cannot use the material I send, they can use or resort to the book. But all of us have access to the whole material.
Can we make sure that everybody agrees with that? That make sure everybody.
Okay,
Everybody
Carolina,
let me know.
Laura, Vanessa.
So yes.
Yeah, we have, you send us that.
Okay.
Yes, somebody asked me before, maybe the person hadn't looked at the email because I have been sending different emails. Maybe that's my mistake, but I like to communicate.
So, and the other thing that I want to share with the team is that you're able to see how much we have to think through designing a course. So understand, you're designing a course but we had to design a course that made you design a course. So I mean, if you understand, we understand the struggle that you're going through making a course, but reflect on how hard that was for us to design it so that you were made to make your own. It's an interesting combination. Victoria, I think, has her hand up. Yemi?
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry. I'm full of questions today.
No problem. That's good.
Yeah, I have a question related to the project that it's not very clear to me. I know that we have to use 3 technologies, right?
Yes.
But we have to use those 3 technologies based on the articles we are going to choose
No.
for our workshop, or to develop the general topic of the unit we have.
The workshop is based on the technologies bring ease to the content. Okay, so let me go back a little bit. So you remember right here when I showed this question here? So if you want in your workshop to have students grapple with some ideas, then the natural technology is a Google quiz, right? So you wouldn't say, hey, let's make a Powtoon on these 3 incidents, right? That doesn't work. So after you do your content, you're figuring out what technologies help students grapple with the questions that you're giving in your workshop. So the technology needs to work with what you're teaching. Let me say that again. The technology needs to work with how you are teaching the content. Am I saying that right, Yemis?
Shana, I agree. I think the technology is the way we use is our strategy to
Yes.
make our workshop much more dynamic, much more interesting, to get people, as you should remember, this workshop is not only for Shana and for me, and it's not only for you. It's for your classmates, for your coworkers, for people in the world who want to know about us as members of a master's degree program, in our case, Didactica. So we need to be as creative as possible.
Right. But I think Victoria's question is, how does she choose the technology to use? Is that what you're saying, Victoria?
Probably, I think Victoria wants to know what is the relevance, or what is the connection of the papers, the
Yeah,
articles we're supposed to.
most like that,
Okay.
teacher. Yeah. Like
that
how
again.
to connect the technologies with the general topic of the chapter.
Okay, so once you decide what you're going to teach, so let's say I'm going to take it out of context. Let's say that I was going to make a workshop on how to care for a puppy. I'm going to take it out of context. So let's say I was going to make a workshop on how to care for a puppy. The first module would be how to go down to the shelter and pick one up. And then the next one would be how to buy food for it. And then the next one would be how to take it to the vet. Let's see, that's my 3 pieces that I want to talk to about the puppy. So when I go to the first chapter, with the first module, when I'm going down to pick up my puppy to adopt it, I might want to have my students ask some questions to the shelter. So how long has this puppy been in here? How long should I, how old is he? How do you know? And in that, I would ask my students to come up with the questions that they would ask of the place that they picked up the puppy for. So if my students have to determine some questions for the shelter to pick up the puppy, what technology would do that the best?
Okay.
What do you think? It wouldn't be a Powtoon, would it?
Mm-mm.
No, probably like the one we're using for I forgot the name. The one we're just using for the assignment this week. Grip. What?
Flipgrid?
Flipgrid.
Yeah, because you can ask questions through the video, and then people can reply to it.
Yes. But what about, could you use infographic?
Yeah.
You could, because you would, on the infographic, you could put, you know, here are the questions I would ask the shelter, and here is the links to where I got this information from. So you could actually have your students make an infographic on what kind of questions it has. You can have them do a Flipgrid, but you wouldn't have them do a Powtoon, because why? Why would you not have them do a Powtoon?
Because Powtoon is more to inform people, not to ask.
Right. And also Powtoon is about like an interaction. It's a story. It's like, you know, it's like a comic book, right? But you can argue that in Powtoons, one of the characters is going to the shelter and asking questions. I mean, it's possibility, but it's a stretch, right? So that's where it gets difficult. What 3 technologies go with your content? And that's what Yamith and I are going to be looking at. Like, why did she pick that as something that she should use, right? Because we want to make sure that you're using technology in the right way, so that when you become a teacher and you use technology in your classes, you're a critical user of technology, not just throwing technology out because it's cool.
Exactly. Laura, probably just to make sure that your question is answered in terms of the 2 articles, remember that those 2 articles are articles that we choose for those people who are gonna, for the audience who are gonna participate in our workshop, to be informed about the topic, to inform about the technology. If you go back to stage 2, it says choose 2 articles that your students would read prior to your workshop. So in other words, it's 2 articles that we give those students or those people who would participate in the workshop to be informed about the topic, to be informed about technologies, is to give them preparation into what they're going to be doing with us.
Those articles have to be academic, or can be like, I don't know, like online newspaper, online, or I don't know.
That's a good question. I don't think
It depends on us.
That's a good question. And remember, if it is for students, for teachers, for general audience, they shouldn't be only academic. If we find a very nice piece of information on a newspaper, on a website, maybe we can ask them to read that. I mean, we want them, we also want you to understand that this particular project, it's, as Sean and I have insisted, it's a challenge for all of us of how to integrate 3 technologies into one project, and this project is connected to a particular topic. The example Shona just gave about the puppy, you could use that, imagine that workshop with those 3 different sessions or moments, but let's say that the general topic is animal care.
right?
Yes. Or animal rights. So how to integrate that topic into the workshops and the technologies to make sure that the audience, the students are well informed, they really understand what they are experiencing, right, Shannon?
Right. And what we're doing here is teaching you how to design good learning. That's what it is. So if it's a newspaper article, if it's a journal, and it's also your audience. So if you're telling me that your audience is teachers that's going to teach kindergartners, I don't think you want to do too academic. But if it's teachers that are going to teach graduate students, you would definitely have academic. So it depends on your target audience of the readings that you give. And here's the thing. These questions are great, and these questions are going to keep happening as you develop. You do not have to think this is the last opportunity to have a question. You can email us. We're going to meet you again next week. So just keep the questions coming as you're going through your project, because every step of the way you're going to be questioning yourself, and we understand that. So this is not the last time you can ask a question. It is not even. I mean, you don't even have to have a question yet, and it pops up 2 days from now. Just email us, and we'll be there for you, because we know this is, it's just tough. We're pulling at everything you have to get this in. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's keep going, because I got to get you off the phone. So identity theft, we went through those. We liked those. We did the essays. We went over the weeks. We went over the final project. Okay, this is a Manhattan College assignment. Next week, we're going to have a guest lecturer. His name is Dr. Michael Plew. And what I want you to just have more than Yamith and I, right? So we're going to bring in a couple experts. This guy does ethics in mass communication, and he has an interesting take on ethics. He's not going to be boring. He's not going to take up a lot of time. I told him he has 30 minutes, and he's going to start. Our meeting starts at 8. We're going to make sure everybody's online and have all their questions, and then he'll be from 8:15 to 8:45, and then we can have time after he leaves to have some more questions. But we're just going to bring in a guest speaker from Manhattan College, so you can meet more faculty member at Manhattan College, and then he's also going to come see you when you come on campus and say hello. So
Shauna, this is important for, it's important for my students to remember that this combined session will happen on the 28th.
okay.
Next
28th.
week, the 21st, it's with me and them talking about the project and the next unit, that is Digital Divide.
Okay.
I want to make something clear. The next unit, Digital Divide, happens in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So please be careful with that, because you're gonna see, right now we have Unit 5, Intellectual Property, and we're working with Flipgrid. Next week, we're gonna have Unit 6, that is about Digital Divide. But that unit will take 2 weeks, not just one. So for my students to know. And also, Shauna, just before we say goodbye, my students on the 28th, we might need to make a little change in the hour, because students in New York, as you probably know, they are 2 hours. If in Bogota it's 8 p.m., in Manhattan they have 6, right, Shauna?
They're one last Sunday.
The time difference.
Last Sunday we went up an hour. So we have daylight savings. You guys don't do that.
No, we don't.
So we
right,
went up.
right now in New York, it's 9.
Yes.
So they're 1 hour ahead of us. So
Yes.
today they asked us to see if it's possible for us Colombians meet at 7 p.m. Bogota time, so that they can be there at 8, because 9 p.m. is way too late for them.
Well, 9
So-
p.m. 9 p.m. I cannot legally have students come to class at 9 o'clock at night. That could be a problem. They could go to the dean. So at 8 o'clock is safe, as long as I get them out by 9 o'clock. And with daylight saving times, that threw a loop. I guess when we design this class, we shouldn't design it in the springtime.
Yes, we learned that now, Ashana.
That's right.
So my students need to understand. I know there had been some changes, but it's part of the same process. So in the meeting that we have next week with me, it's okay. It's at 8 p.m. Bogota time, from 8 to 9, no problem.
Okay.
But the meeting on the 28th, particularly because we need to benefit from this professor, Michael Plug, I think we need to be there. And he also, it's going to be in New York time. So that means that for them, 8 p.m. is our 7 p.m. here in Colombia. So that's why we're telling you 2 weeks in advance to make sure that you are with us from 7 to 8 on that 28th. Is it clear, Laura, Carolina, Vanessa?
Yes.
Yeah. So I understand some of you might have some difficulties, but just do your best to
I
be
will
with
try
us.
to get on time because
Please, I know because 7
Thursday
p.m. for us in Colombia, it's somehow it's kind of hard, but if I think having this professor and his very interesting intake and his point of view about ethics and communication, it's really relevant. Okay, so if there are no questions, then I think this is it.
Okay, now I'm going to stop recording. Okay.